Hey y'all, today I'm going to put you on to the best macaroni and cheese recipe for this holiday season. Fights have been started over trying to get the last bit of this mac and cheese because it is that good. When you make this recipe, honey, you will no longer be bringing paper plates. You are going to be bringing a real dish to the family gathering. Now, for starters, we're going to look at the cheeses. I'm using 5 cheeses today. Now, y'all do not crucify me, okay? I'm telling y'all, this melting sharp cheddar cheese is actually really good in this for the cheese pool. But you can't use but so much of it. It really has to be held down by good quality cheese like Cabot or Tillamook. I really just go with whichever one is the best price that day. I like to have a mild cheese like Munster. This contributes to the cheese pool, but it has better flavor than mozzarella. Gouda has a great flavor. I could only find it in the Food Lion brand that day. And here's one tip. If you can't find the block cheese, go with the deli slices because the deli slices don't have that potato starch on them. And so they're going to melt just like the block cheese. Okay, the next cheese I'm going to be using is Colby Jack. I think it has a good flavor, but you could definitely just use more sharp cheddar. Use the cheeses that your family is going to eat. The only cheese that I don't like to use is Velveeta. Whatever there's Velveeta in the mac and cheese, I feel like I can detect it instantly. Did you guys know that your food processor can literally shred pounds of cheese within seconds? I really despise having to hand grate cheese. I feel like it takes forever, but literally the food processor gonna take care of that job for you quick. The only thing that it struggles to shred evenly is like a soft cheese, like a mozzarella, but it can still do it, baby. It's just gonna tear up the little ones at the end. See that? Perfectly shredded cheese in no time. I'm gonna link this food processor in the description box. I'm going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. While that is preheating, we're going to work on the noodles. Now, there are many things that distinguish an amateur cook from the pro cook, that distinguish who bring the paper plates from the big mama. This is one of those things. Many people just throw a little salt up in the pasta water. But if you want to be a big dog, or should I say a big mama, or should I say a big daddy, because some of y'all men be out here cooking too, you're going to need to add some chicken bouillon or some Vegeta, which is a non-meat based bouillon, to the pasta water. That is going to flavor the noodles, which is just going to give an awesome flavor to your mac and cheese. I like to use these little curly noodles, these Celentini or cavatappi noodles, because they look cute, just trying to, put on for the fam. But you could also just use regular elbows and cook them according to the package instruction. Y'all know the OGs, we put that wooden spoon over the pot so that the bubbles don't overflow. When I have cooked it according to my package instructions, I am going to dump out the noodles and I'm not going to rinse them. I am going to throw a little butter, all right, that Southern Gold on them, just to make sure they don't stick together as they chill out while I make my roux. Now, some of y'all have been telling me I should call it a bechamel sauce, but I've never called it a bechamel sauce. So I'm just going to keep calling it a roux because that's what I know. My temperature is on a low because I don't want to burn the butter or the flour. This is about 2 tablespoons of butter and about 2 to 3 tablespoons of flour. You don't need to overdo it with the amount of butter that you use because there is so much richness that's going to be added from the cheese and a little heavy cream. You don't want it to become overly oily. I am going to cook this flour until that raw flour taste comes out. That's going to take about 30 to 45 seconds of continuously mixing. And you must do this, honey. You can't just leave the raw flour. You have to cook it out or else your roux is going to taste funny. Then while I am continuously stirring, I'm going to put in 1 whole can of evaporated milk. If you don't want to use evaporated milk, you can instead use half and half. You could even use a little whole milk, but this evaporated milk is going to add that nice flavor. I'm going to just keep whisking and beating this until all the flour lumps are out, and then I am going to put a half of a cup of half and half. The only thing I would really say you can't use here is the skim milk. Like, why are we using skim milk in a dish like mac and cheese? We already know it's not healthy. We're not trying to pretend or put on. Look, this is not, diet food. Say it with your chest, baby. This is not diet food. So when you see the butter, the cheese, the milk, the heavy cream, just know what you're getting into. I'm first going to go in with about 6 slices of the American cheese and about 3 to 4 slices of the Gouda cheese. And I'm also going to start adding in my shredded Colby Jack and sharp cheddar cheese. Now, how much cheese you like in your macaroni and cheese is really just based on your taste. However, I use the ratio of 1 to 2. I use 1 part noodles and 2 parts cheese. So if I'm using a pound of noodles, then I like to go in with about 2 pounds of cheese overall, including the cheese that I put on top of the mac and cheese. And if I'm feeling a little festive, I might add 2¼ pounds. Now, some of y'all are going to say that is big backed. That is just too much cheese. Honey, we are guilty as charged, okay? I know what I signed up for. This is festive food. I only do it once a year like this, so I'm not going to apologize about it, okay? Now I'm going to season this sauce with a little bit of Vegeta, some black pepper, some Sazon tropical. I really like to use this in my macaroni. It adds a great umami flavor. It also has the garlic and the onion powder already in it. But I tend to also add a little bit of extra garlic powder as well. I just season to taste because everybody likes theirs differently. For a little bit of a tang, I like to throw in some sour cream. My mama always puts sour cream in her mac and cheese, so I like to do it, especially when I'm making it for her. Do you guys put sour cream in your mac? I find that this is not something I see in mac and cheese all the time. Instead of smoked Gouda, I like to put a touch of smoked paprika. I find that smoked Gouda can be a bit too strong if you use too much, but just a little bit of that smoked paprika combined with using the Gouda cheese adds a nice flavor without it being overwhelming. And now we have this good cheese sauce that we know tastes delicious. Right into this pot, I'm going to put all of my noodles. Once I stir this together, I can adjust the texture to my own taste. I prefer for my mix to be slightly too loose before it is a little bit too dry. If you have dry mac and cheese, it's almost like you can't recover. Most people are not going to complain that like, oh, your mac and cheese is, a little too creamy. But if it's too dry, like, baby, they will burn up that group chat talking about you, okay? You will never be able to bring the macaroni and cheese again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a little bit of whole milk until I get it the texture that I want. The reason why I don't mind it being slightly looser is because the noodles will absorb some of the liquid. So if you have your macaroni at the perfect texture before you bake it, it's going to come out a little bit too dry when it's done cooking. I'm going to grease a 9x13 baking dish with some butter and then add my macaroni mixture. To be honest with you, it is like a must that macaroni and cheese has to be baked in my household. I didn't even know people were eating unbaked mac and cheese until I got older. Let me know in the comments if stovetop mac and cheese is acceptable for Thanksgiving. I feel like it has to be baked. Like, there's no exception to that rule, but hey, everybody's house is different. I'm going to add about 2 slices of some cut up American cheese to the top just so I can get a nice cheese pool, and then the rest of the cheese that I have left over and a bit of paprika. If you add that paprika, people really feel like you did something, like you really cooked that thing, child. All right, so I'm going to add on that paprika. Then I'm going to put some foil on it and stick this in my 350-degree oven for 20 minutes covered. At the end of 20 minutes, I'm going to uncover the mac and cheese and allow it to bake uncovered for about 20 more minutes, or until the top is nice, beautiful, and golden brown. If you have other things that you are cooking in the oven at a slightly higher temperature, say 375, you can actually cook your macaroni and cheese at that temperature as well. Just reduce the cook time to about 30 minutes instead of 40. You know you ought to give me a like for how beautiful this macaroni and cheese looks, but honey, it tastes even better than it looks. Let me know if you are going to try this holiday season, and when you do, let me know how much your family loves it. Goodbye and God bless.